There's a 20-day waiting period after today's decision that leaves time for appeals to the OMB, so it's 20 days before the decision is final. And remember to push your button on the microphone when you want to speak and to smile for the TV cameras. So, are there any disclosures of interest by committee members? No? I have a motion here. It's been moved by Larry and seconded by Dan, and resolve the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment meeting held Wednesday, December 21st, 2016 be adopted as circulated. Are there any errors or omissions? Those in favor of the motion? It's carried. Thank you. And our first application is BN 348 Derrick Farms Limited. Mr. Rowe, you're here for this one? Anyone else wishes to speak? We'll have the planner explain the report then.
An application has been received to sever a parcel having a frontage of 76.21 meters, a width of 76.21 meters, and a regular depth of 55.64 meters, and having an area of 0.39 hectares, and retain a parcel having an area of 20.6 hectares as the creation of a lot within the hamlet of Vanessa. 2 easements for hydro and gas are being proposed as well. The subject lands are 0.96 acres in size and front onto the west side of Brantford Road in the hamlet of Vanessa. The lands contain a single detached dwelling and are part of a larger farm. The retained lands contain a single detached dwelling, 3 large barns, 2 greenhouses, and several bulk kilns. Surrounding land uses are agricultural and hamlet residential in nature. The subject lands are designated hamlet in the Norfolk County Official Plan and zoned hamlet residential in the Norfolk County Zoning Bylaw. Section 1.1.4.2 of the Provincial Policy Statement states, in rural areas, rural settlement areas shall be the focus of growth and development, and their vitality and regeneration shall be promoted. Section 1.1.4.3 states, when directing development in rural settlement areas in accordance with Policy 1.1.3, planning authority shall give consideration to rural characteristics, the scale of development, and the provision of appropriate service levels. Section 4.5.1A of the official plan states low-density residential and lots suitably sized to accommodate servicing systems shall be the main permitted use. Section 9.6.3.2C states that if a plan of subdivision is not deemed necessary, regard shall be had to the other policies within this plan and to the following criteria when considering an application for consent. Consent shall only be granted when the land fronts onto an existing assumed public road that is maintained on a year-round basis. Consent shall have the effect of infilling in existing areas and not extending existing development. Creation of the lot does not compromise the long-term use of the remaining land or retained parcel, and consents may be considered for large parcels where future development of the land of the large parcel is to proceed by plan of subdivision. Section 9632I states, subject to the specific policies of this plan, consents may be permitted for the purposes of making lot boundary corrections, for the purposes of granting easements, for conveyances and consolidations, and other such administrative or technical matters, provided that such matters are minor in nature. The applicant is proposing to sever a parcel containing a single detached dwelling within the hamlet of Vanessa and establish 2 easements. This proposal would support the hamlet character of the area and conforms to the consent criteria of the official plan. The easements are required to service the retained lands and are permitted by the official plan as they are minor in nature. Section 9.6.3.2D of the official plan states no parcel shall be created which does not conform to the provisions of the zoning bylaw except where a minor variance has been secured. The lands were rezoned from agricultural to hamlet residential with special provision 14.685 at the January 13th, 2016 council meeting through application ZNPL 2016-297. The special provision, that should actually be December 13th. The special provision permits the separation of 26.59 meters between a farm processing facility and a dwelling on an adjacent lot, which addresses the existing farm processing facility on the retained lands. The hamlet residential zone permits a single detached dwelling, and the proposed severed parcel complies with all provisions of this zone. It is the professional opinion of planning staff that the subject application is consistent with the PPS and conforms to the Norfolk County Official Plan regarding lot creation in a hamlet and the establishment of easements. Planning staff recommend approval, subject to the attached conditions.
Thank you very much. Any questions of the planner? Comments? Mr. Rowe, anything to add? Okay. Committee's wishes then. Okay. Okay. So I have a motion moved by Larry, seconded by Eric. The committee hereby approves the application to sever a parcel with a frontage of 76.21 meters, a width of 76.21 meters, an irregular depth of 55.64 meters, having an area of 0.96 acres, and retain a parcel with an area of 50.9 acres as the creation of a lot within the hamlet of Vanessa. 2 easements for hydro and gas are proposed as well. The hydro frontage is 3 meters, width 3 meters, depth at 50.87 meters, and the gas is 0.72 meters, frontage irregular width of 4.46 meters, and a depth of 50.97 meters. And the conditions are outlined in the motion, and the subject application is consistent with the provincial policy statement and conforms with Norfolk County official plan regarding lot creation within a hamlet, and that no public input was received, therefore not considered as part of this application. Any further questions or comments? Those in favor? Motion's carried. What did I do? Our next application is BN 341, Prossick Farms. Mr. Rowe again. Anyone else? You are? Okay. We'll give you an opportunity shortly. And we'll have the planner explain the report.
An application has been received to sever a parcel having a frontage of 34.5 meters and a regular width of 34.5 meters, depth of 51.6 meters, having an area of 2,013 square meters. This is of a dwelling made surplus to farm amalgamation. 65.35 hectares. An easement for gas service is also proposed with a frontage of 3.47 meters, a depth of 26.8 meters, and an area of 109 square meters. Consent application is being reviewed concurrently with a zoning amendment for the retained lands to remove a single detached dwelling as a permitted use in the agricultural zone. Subject lands are approximately 2,013 square meters in size and front onto the south side of Wyndham Road 5. The lands contain a single detached dwelling and a detached garage. The proposed retained lands are approximately 65.35 hectares and contain a bunkhouse, barn, and storage shed. All hydro lines to the retained lands have been disconnected. The bunkhouse will no longer be used as a bunkhouse, but rather an additional storage building. There is a ravine and treed area at the rear side of the retained farmlands. Surrounding land uses are agricultural and rural residential in nature. In regard to public input, a neighboring property owner called planning staff with questions regarding the existing septic system tiles. The owner and neighbor plan to work together to remove the existing septic system tank and tiles from the neighboring property. The proposed farm dwelling is configured in a way so that cultivated farmlands will not be removed from activity. Furthermore, the proposed lot is in between an existing residential lot and a grouping of agricultural buildings. In this way, the proposed lot is limited in size and represents the minimum size needed to accommodate the residential use. The existing septic tile bed and tank is to be relocated from the neighboring property to the front yard. In the proposed lot area for the proposed septic system existing well, which is presently located inside the existing dwelling. As noted by the building division, the septic system for the former bunkhouse on the retained lands will be required to be removed. Building staff have also noted fire separation compliance issues with the former bunkhouse building. Their concerns will be addressed in the conditions section of this report. As a condition of approval, the applicant will be required to rezone the retained farmlands to remove a residential dwelling as a permitted use. In this way, no new residential building opportunities will be created by the surplus farm dwelling severance application. The subject lands are designated agricultural, hazard lands, and provincially significant wetland in the Norfolk County official plan. The proposed easement will permit a gas service to be available to both the new residential lot and to the retained farm to service the existing farm buildings. It's planning staff's opinion that the proposed easement is minor in nature and will not create an additional separate lot. It should be noted that comments were not received from Union Gas in regards to the natural gas services. The existing dwelling was constructed prior to 1978 and is considered surplus to farm operation. Severance will remove the only dwelling on the farm parcel. As such, in order to maintain conformity to the Norfolk County official plan and PPS, a special provision will be applied to the retained lands so that future dwellings cannot be built on the retained farm.
Thank you. Any questions of the planner? No? Dave? Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. The existing bunkhouse, 2 bullet point 1 talks about separation to be brought into conformance with the Ontario Building Code. 2-part question. Number 1, might that mean the removal of the bunkhouse? And is the bunkhouse now too close to the boundary line when you measure it from the retained lands? Okay. Thank you.
There's a gentleman back here. You wish to speak to us?
Oh, you got to put that
Well, we got
on.
you.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good.
Oh, that's good.
Sorry, I have the property just beside the existing house now. My biggest concern is the septic tank, and that it would be dealt with properly, they're going to move it, and if there's any problems with the existing tank, is that my problem, or what? I have a concern about that.
The septic tank that's on the house that's being
It's on my
severed?
property currently,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay. Now, Matt, you mentioned something earlier. What, refresh our minds here. So you're concerned about septic tank, it is going to be moved?
It moved, and if there's anything like liability-wise, I mean, I'm just quite concerned if this goes through, then it's going to be my problem, right? That they can just kind of wash their hands of it.
If it doesn't go through, is it still your problem?
Yes.
So this doesn't change that?
No, I guess not. But,
The-
well, kinda. I don't know. Like, is it still my problem? Like, or is it?
Well, just a second here, Matt. You don't want to pay for this.
No, no, no.
That's your concern, right?
Yeah,
And
like-
you want it done and done right and not cost you any money.
Well, yeah, it really shouldn't. I mean, the way the previous property owner told me my property line was at a different spot, and anyways. So when the farm got sold, even the prospects, I think, were surprised by where the property line actually was. It actually goes in within, I would say, probably 3 feet of the back corner of this house, my property, which is extremely close too, right? So I don't know. I was quite shocked because it's on an angle within 3 feet of their house, my property, and it goes into their backyard too, where their existing clothesline and some outside water actually is as well. So I think we both got kind of caught off guard on this, and I just don't want the problem.
Well, I believe that we add a condition here to make sure that the septic tank is relocated. We're telling the applicant that they have to do that. I'm not sure that there's anything else. Maybe, Dan, you have a thought?
Well, I don't have too much problem with that, but I'm not sure removed or decommissioned is good enough. It certainly has to be decommissioned, but I think it should be removed. Not the septic system entirely, but at least the septic tank.
Yeah, I mean,
Because a septic tank could fall in after a few years, and then somebody has to deal with it.
it'll be me,
So I
right?
think the tank should be removed.
Matt?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we will do that in a moment. We'll add a condition that says this has to be done, and the only people we can put conditions on are the applicant itself, so that condition will be applied to the owner of that house now, and that'll have to be done before the severance can be finalized.
Thank you.
Anything else, Eric?
I'll move approval with
Oh.
that added condition.
Okay. for that condition, just, Matt, as I just said, removal of septic system and a new septic system to be installed on the subject property. Is that, didn't miss anything there? That'll work. Agreed? Yeah, okay. Okay, so I have a motion by Eric, seconded by Dan, that the committee approves this application to sever a parcel with a frontage of 34.5 meters, an irregular width of 34.5 meters, an irregular depth of 55.9 meters, and an area of 0.5 acres as a severance of a dwelling made surplus through farm amalgamation. An easement for gas service is also proposed with a frontage of 3.47 meters, a depth of 26.8 meters, an area of 109 square meters. The consent application is being reviewed concurrently with a zoning amendment and the retained land, for the retained lands to remove the single detached dwelling as a permitted use. The application is consistent with the provincial policy statement and conforms to Norfolk County official plan with regard to surplus farm severances, and that public input was received and therefore was considered as part of this decision. Are there any further discussion? Those in favor? Carried. I guess the next two are probably together, AN337 and BN338. Mr. Rowe again. Anyone else who wishes to speak? Yes, sir? I'm sorry? Okay. And we'll have the planner explain the report.
An application has been received to recognize a deficiency created through consent application BNPL 2016-338, requiring relief of 20 square meters from the maximum permitted usable floor area of an accessory building on a surplus farm dwelling lot of 200 square meters to permit a maximum usable floor area of 220 square meters, which includes 2 accessory buildings. The subject lands are approximately 0.63 acres in size and front onto the north side of Little Lake Road in the former geographic township of Wyndham. The lands are part of a larger farm parcel and are proposed to be severed through a related surplus farm dwelling severance application. The lands contain a single detached dwelling, a shed, and a large accessory building, and are partially bordered by a tall cedar hedge. Surrounding land uses are agricultural in nature. The subject lands are designated and zoned agricultural. Section 45(1) of the Planning Act sets out the criteria for minor variances, that the requested relief is minor, the proposed development is appropriate and compatible with surrounding development, and that the general intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw is maintained. Generally, accessory buildings in the agricultural zone are limited to 100 square meters in size. However, Section 3.36 of the zoning bylaw was recently approved and permits a cumulative maximum usable floor area of 200 square meters for existing accessory buildings related to surplus farm dwelling severances. Therefore, the relief being requested is 20 square meters for this surplus farm dwelling severance rather than 120 square meters, which would be required in general situations. The 20 square meters relief can be considered minor in nature in this case. The accessory buildings are existing and function as part of the clearly defined residential parcel. There are no neighbors within close proximity who will be impacted by the subject application. It is the professional opinion of planning staff that the requested relief can be considered minor in nature, appropriate development, and generally meets the intent of the Norfolk County official plan and Norfolk County zoning bylaw. As such, planning staff support this application and recommend that it be approved.
Thank you. Any questions of the planner? Thank you. We'll just take turns. This is AN, right? The first one. Okay, for this application, I have a motion by Larry, seconded by Dan. The committee hereby approves the application to recognize the deficiency created through consent application BN 338 requiring relief of 20 square meters from the maximum permitted usable floor area of an accessory building on a surplus farm dwelling lot of 200 square meters to permit the maximum usable floor area 220 square meters, which includes 2 accessory buildings. In accordance with Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, the development requested relief is considered appropriate, minor, and maintains the intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw. Before I do this, with the input here, you wish to speak to us, sir?
I wish to speak in regards to the fact that the roll numbers used for the application are not correct, in that the roll number is for the property on 452 Little Lake Road instead of 453, in that the roll number was never acquired yet from the impact has not come up with a roll number for the North Port parcel. And that's to do with when things changed over to computers several years ago. They managed to lose that portion of it.
Okay.
And so I just want to make sure that when the paperwork goes through, it goes through on the appropriate roll number that Johnny has for the north parcel, as opposed to my mother's roll number, which is the south parcel, which is 452.
Okay. No problem? No problem. Do I have to adjust something on the motion, though? No, just do it. That'll be looked after. So with this motion, it's in accordance with Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, the developments requested is considered appropriate, minor, maintains the intent of the official planning and zoning bylaw, and that public input was received and has been considered as part of this application. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor? Motion's carried. And the next one.
So in this case, the subject lands are the same. So an application has been received to sever a parcel having a frontage of 68 meters, an irregular width of 68 meters, an irregular depth of 47.2 meters, and having an area of 2,543.4 square meters as a severance of a dwelling made surplus through farm amalgamation. The consent is being reviewed concurrently with the zoning bylaw amendment for the retained lands to remove a single detached dwelling as a permitted use in the agricultural zone. The subject lands are designated and zoned agricultural. Norfolk County Official Plan Section 4.2.3 states consent to sever land may be considered for a currently habitable dwelling existing prior to August 24th, 1978, surplus to a farming operation as a result of farm consolidation, subject to the policies of Section 4.2.3 B and C. The existing dwelling was constructed prior to 1978 and is considered surplus to the farming operation. The applicant owns 3 other farms in Norfolk County, one of which includes a dwelling and does not require any additional dwellings at this time. It is the professional opinion of planning staff that the subject application is consistent with the 2014 provincial policy statement and conforms to the policies of the Norfolk County Official Plan regarding surplus farm dwelling severances. Planning staff recommend approval of this application subject to the attached conditions.
Okay, thank you. Questions of the planner? Wishes?
I'll move approval.
Okay. I have a motion by Eric, second by Dan, that we hereby approve the application to sever a parcel with a frontage of 68 meters, an irregular width of 68 meters, an irregular depth of 47.2 meters, an area of 0.63 acres, as a severance of a dwelling made surplus through farm amalgamation. The consent is being reviewed concurrently with the zoning amendment for retained lands to remove the single detached dwelling as a permitted use. and the application is consistent with the provincial policy statement and conforms to Norfolk County official plan with regard to surplus farm dwelling severances, and that no public input was received, therefore not considered as part of this application. Further discussion? Those in favor? Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. AN 336, Harold Sonnenberg. Anyone here for this one? Good day, good day.
Thank you for receiving my application. My name is Harold Sonnenberg, owner of the property and the applicant. So,
We'll have the planner explain the report.
An application has been received to construct an accessory building requiring relief of 67.22 square meters from the maximum permitted usable floor area of 100 square meters to permitted usable floor area of 167.22 square meters. The subject lands are approximately 2.72 acres in size and front onto the north side of Concession 7 Townsend. The lands contain a single detached dwelling and a shipping container, which is proposed to be removed. The rear of the property is forested, which is part of a larger woodlot to the north. Surrounding land uses are agricultural and rural residential in nature. The subject lands are designated and zoned agricultural. Planning staff have conducted a site inspection and are of the opinion that the requested relief is minor and appropriate in this instance. The applicant currently stores personal equipment at a barn on his son's farm. However, his son is planning to sell the property and the applicant will lose his storage space. This has resulted in the need for a larger accessory building. The existing lot is 2.72 acres in size, which is significant for a residential parcel within the agricultural area. The subject lands can accommodate a larger accessory building without overcrowding the property. A significant amount of amenity space remains available on the subject lands. No other accessory buildings will be located on the property as the existing shipping container will be removed. There are trees between the proposed accessory building location and the nearest residential neighbor to the west, which act as a natural buffer for screening. The proposed building is approximately 60 meters from the front property line and further from the road than the house, making its presence less noticeable. The size of the building is not out of scale in comparison to the existing dwelling or in comparison to other accessory buildings within the agricultural community. The rear of the subject lands is located within significant woodlands, and the proposed accessory building would be located within the drip line. The applicant presented a scoped environmental impact study to the Norfolk Environmental Advisory Committee meeting on December 12, 2016, which has been accepted. Further studies will not be required in this regard. It is the professional opinion of planning staff that the requested relief can be considered minor in nature, appropriate development, and generally meets the intent of the Norfolk County official plan and Norfolk County zoning bylaw. As such, planning staff support this application and recommend that it be approved.
Thank you. Any questions to the planner? No.
Mr. Chair, I have something to add.
Okay.
Since I made this application, there's been a slight change. I suggested that I would remove that truck box, but my plans have changed, and I think I'd like to keep it. It's very small. I don't think it would take up half of 1% of the lot, so I don't think it would be too onerous at all to have the new building plus the old shed to remain on the property.
Do you know the square footage of the shed?
Pardon me?
Do we know the square footage of the shed?
It's about 110 square feet. It was big enough that I had to get a building permit. It was just over the 100 square feet.
Can we do such things?
Through the chair, if we were to add any square footage, it would have to be recirculated. The application would have to be amended and recirculated again, even if it's just a little bit. So it's just the way that we have to do that if it's increased at all.
Well, it's not that important that I keep it. We'll just go with the application as it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, committee? Any wishes there? Thank you. I have a motion by Larry, second by Eric. The committee hereby approves the application. to construct an accessory building requiring relief of 67.22 square meters from the maximum permitted usable floor area of 100 square meters to permit a usable floor area of 167.22 square meters. In accordance with Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, the proposed development requested relief is considered appropriate, minor in nature, and maintains the intent of the official plan and the zoning bylaw, and that no public input was received, therefore has not been considered as part of this application. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. Now we got BN 342 and BN 343, both in the name of Sitco Farms. Sir? There you go.
There we go. With MHN lawyers who have been retained by Sitco Farms in this matter, we agree with the planning.
Okay. We'll figure it out for you then. We'll have the planner explain whatever he wants to explain.
Anything I want.
You go for it.
Uh-oh. An application's been received to sever a parcel having a frontage of 71.39 meters, a width of 67.7 meters, and a depth of 55.39 meters, having an area of 3,843.5 square meters. Dwelling made surplus through farm amalgamation. Proposed retained land for approximately 39.5 hectares. Lands have been previously rezoned to dwelling. The creation of square meters in front onto the former geographic lands, which are 39 or there contain a bar. Has been removed. So the retained land will be disconnected. There's no pond rear or retained farmlands, and surrounding land use are agricultural and rural residential in nature. The Committee of Adjustment previously approved BNPL 2015-116 on the subject land for a surplus farmhouse dwelling severance. The applicant was not able to fulfill their conditions as part of that application, and as a result, their application lapsed. Specifically, the applicant was not able to fulfill the removal of the hydro lines from the subject lands to the retained lands in time. The applicant has returned to propose the exact same severance application. The hydro lines have been scheduled for removal in early 2017, and this is not expected to be a problem. I'm just going to skip ahead through the report, as the report and what it accomplishes is exactly the same as it has accomplished before. One of the conditions that has been added that was not previously there is that the driveway leading from the created surplus parcel and be blocked off from the remaining farm, and the applicant's been made aware of this and agrees and has agreed to it. Planning staff consider that this application is consistent with the PPS, conforms to the official plan policies, and therefore recommend that it be approved.
Thank you. Questions of the planner? Or wishes? Dan moves. Larry seconds. So the motion's by Dan, second by Larry, that the committee approves this application to sever a parcel with a frontage of 71.39 meters, a width of 67.7 meters, a depth of 55.39 meters, an area of 0.95 acres as a severance of a dwelling made surplus through farm amalgamation. The application is consistent with the provincial policy statement and conforms to the Norfolk County official plan with regard to surplus farm dwellings, and that no public input was received, therefore not considered as part of this application. Further discussion? Those in favor? Opposed? carried. And the last one.
Subject lands are approximately 4,032 square meters in size and front onto the east side of West Quarter Line Road in the former geographic township of North Walsingham. The application has been received as several parcel having frontage of 72 meters, a width of 56 meters, and a depth of 56 meters, as a severance made surplus through farm amalgamation. The proposed retained lands are approximately 59.89 hectares. The retained lands have already been previously rezoned to not permit a new single detached dwelling as a condition of an earlier severance application. All hydro lines to the retained lands have been disconnected. Surrounding land uses are agricultural and rural residential in nature. There are significant woodlands to the south and east of the proposed severed lot. Similar to the previous application, the Committee of Adjustment has previously approved this application through BNPL 2015-090. However, the applicant wasn't able to fulfill all their conditions at that time. Specifically, the applicant was not able to fulfill the removal of the hydro lines from the subject lands to the retained lands in time, and because of that, the application lapsed. The applicants returned to propose the same severance application, and at this time, the hydro lines have now been relocated. Again, I'll just fast forward through the report, as many of the points here are the same as the previous report. The subject surplus farm dwelling severance meets the zoning requirements and also the official plan requirements and provincial policy requirements, and planning staff recommend approval.
Thank you very much. Committee? Gotcha. I have a motion by Eric, second by Larry, that the committee hereby approves this application to sever a parcel with a frontage of 72 meters, a width of 56 meters, a depth of 56 meters, an area of 1 acre, as the severance of a dwelling made surplus through farm amalgamation. The application is consistent with the provincial policy statement and conforms to Norfolk County official plan with regard to surplus farm dwelling severances, and that no public input was received, therefore not considered as part of this application. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor? Motion's carried. That's the end of the agenda. Anything to add? You see there's an invite to Shaping Healthy Rural Communities in the package. I'm not going.
So I think at our last meeting, we explained that we were going to experiment with putting up the yellow signs on the applicant's properties. So we've done that, and I think it went pretty well. The nice thing about it is we know that it's up, it's been put up, and we're able to take pictures of it when we do our site inspections. So I think it's something that we'll continue to do, and just as an added service to those who apply for Committee of Adjustment applications.
Good. I think there's even a picture of you doing one of them in there. Anyone else got anything? What's next month look like? 8? Beauty. 5:48. We are officially done.